Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. Last episode we learned about inflammation, a term that literally means to set on fire. Inflammation is a crucial part of the body's defense mechanism designed to eliminate harmful stimuli, initiate the healing process, and protect against further damage. We gave you clarity and action steps to make you feel healthier and more energized and less sore. If you're new here, this is the Strength and Motion Show, an audio experience to bring education about helping you bring functional fitness and better routines into your life. We are a 24/7 gym based out of Midvale, Western Australia, and our goal is to make functional fitness practical and achievable for people who want to lift, move, and feel better without the classic, boring, and egotistical gym nonsense. If you do intend on lifting and moving better, well, you better start learning. If you want to get your head around the functional way more, you can start at the beginning of our podcast series of episodes 1 to 5, in which we outlay the foundational pillars of movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. Our YouTube channel is our next destination, with lessons and videos curated to further support your understanding on how you can train properly towards your goals. Today's episode is about the control center, our brains. In an evolutionary standpoint, it is our brain that has separated us from every other animal and allowed us to use our intelligence to overcome our lack of talent, athleticism, and strength. It has granted us a pathway to self-discovery, innovation, and ultimately our place on the top of the food chain. Ironically, as time goes on, we seemingly use our brains less and less and find ourselves making poor decisions and sitting in the guilt of that. Today, we're helping you understand your physiology better so you can unlock more of your daily potential. Navar, how you going?
Good, doing great. I'm like overly excited for this podcast. I think I'm always in the space, right? I think both of us are, and a lot of people in the space that we're in are within the brain, nootropic sort of cognition, and it is a hot topic. But I've done my hypnosis, I've done my masters in life coaching, in NLP, etc. I've been playing around with brainwaves by actually creating playlists for clients, especially Brett. I was working with Brett lately, and we did about 8 sessions together, and we did hypnosis sessions. But during that, and also the last mini retreat that we did, where I did the breathwork and hypnosis session, I was starting to come to more of an awareness of audio. I think it's probably my weakest sense in a way. Never really understood the audio or the pacing of audio or tone in many ways. Like, have some sense of knowledge through hypnosis, but in the more recent times, I started becoming even hyper aware of it. So I'm excited for this conversation because we are going to dive into brain waves and frequencies and auditory inputs to then control the way that the brain responds, which then responds, the body responds. So I know I got really excited there, but I'm very excited for this podcast.
Nice. Me too.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting time.
Yeah.
I've been micro-napping again myself with binaural beats, and it's awesome. You might not know as a listener what binaural beats are, but just imagine them to be meditation tracks, I guess, is a simple way to explain them. But that's been really nice because I have been noticing how heavy and busy my brain is, and I'm like, if my body feels stiff and sore, I can just go out and do some dead hangs and do some movement, and I can do a workout on the gym floor, just a light one, just move. But I didn't really have a strategy for my brain when that feels stiff and tight and sore. Back then is like years and years ago. And now I've learned these techniques and understood how my body likes to nap. And I call it a micro nap because I'm not micro napping to get more sleep and feel less tired, because I don't really feel that sense. But what I do feel is my brain is lighter when I come out of a 15-20 minute micro nap, basically, which is not what I used to call a micro nap. I used to call it 3 minutes was a micro nap. But again, it's been really awesome. And outside of that, I've been really happy with my training. I've been training really not a lot, but I've been training with intensity and with frequency. So it's honestly like 20 minutes a day, 25, 30 minutes on a good day. But I am hitting most days, and what it does give me is the therapeutic effect of exercise. I don't get any stiffness or any soreness because I'm not training enough, but I've still been able to hit some PBs, which has been really, really awesome. And I've put on 8 kilos since January, which is good. I'm pleased with all of that without still being aware that there's so much that I'm not doing right and so much I could do more.
Yeah.
But I'm like, fuck it. And I'm moving ahead enough. I'm making enough progress, and I'm fulfilled with that, which is a really nice place to be. And also wrote, I miss journaling. Not that I'm going to do it again, but I still miss journaling and putting pen to paper. That's the specific thing that I miss. What I have written though, but however, voice noting and conversing with AI has been like incredibly helpful. And just for this chapter, we're in business chapter, we're both in early 30s, we're hungry, we're ambitious, and we've got a good path ahead if we stay locked in. But that, I wake up in the morning, I just can't be fucked sitting down putting pen to paper. But I understand that I need to do some sort of act in order to get my mind straight and plan the day for a productive space. And using ChatGPT and Claude, which is the other AI model that I use, they've both been really helpful and good enough.
Nice.
So anyway, that's me ranting about just stuff, I guess. So Nav,
yes,
we're talking about, this episode, by the way, is called The Command Center, Optimizing Your Brain for Focus and Flow. So for this, Nav, can you tell me a personal experience that you've had that really makes this episode important to you?
Yeah, so the command center, the first thing that came to mind was me doing my initial 3-day course in hypnosis when I was 17. And that is where it all started. I don't really use that context because I was very young. I was 17. It was when I was doing my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. It was like a part add-on certificate sort of course when I was at Fitness Australia doing my certificate. And like they came out, they talked about hypnosis and how it could help with communicating with clients and getting the results, etc. So I signed up to this 3-day course and also signed my mum up with me because I think it was like a 2-for-1 deal. She ended up becoming qualified and doing it and becoming highly successful in the space. And the whole entire with the hypnosis is creating a different state, which we'll dive into later. But that was my first experience with altered states and how our mind and our body go through multiple different states and how we can intentionally alter the state or invoke a specific state to get a certain result. But that was my first experience, and I've been hooked ever since. And I still, to this day, every single day, put time and effort into meditation, breath work, hypnosis, binaural beats or some sort of brainwaves, or even certain music that invoke a different response. So yeah, massive into this space.
Sick. Very good. Very exciting.
Yourself?
Yeah, for me, mine's quite funny actually. It dates actually back to, I used to be a forklift driver back in the day, and I loved it. It was such a great time in my life. It was obviously quite easy on the brain, and it was a very practical role. But I was young and fit and healthy, and what happened was we upgraded our systems inside the warehouse that I was working at to introduce barcodes and handheld scanners. So they introduced a new technology, which was a big like knowledge gap for a lot of the people out in the warehouse. And so even though I was one of the youngest and earliest staff members in that warehouse, I became one of the top staff with that system just because I picked it up really quickly. It's similar how like kids pick up phones really, really easy and tablets these days. But what I do remember though was that after a few months, I was so good at number recall, I could unconsciously memorize numbers, because what was happening is trucks would come in, I'd pick all these pallets up with all this stock and all these items, and we would just have to start labeling them with a barcode. But above the barcode was the character code for what that barcode meant. And so for me as a forklift driver, it was often easier for me to visually cite what was written on the barcode rather than scanning it, because I'd have to like lean out the forklift and scan. And so months and months of dealing with barcodes in this handheld RF scanner, I could recall a 10-digit number for about 12 hours, and all I had to do I would have to look at it once, or someone would have to say it to me once. It would be like a mobile number. And if it was under 10 digits, I could recall it without even trying to remember it. After about half a day to a day, the memory was gone because it was a fleeting memory. But I was just so surprised. I didn't realize at the time, but I'm like, wow, my brain's fucking sharp. It's specifically that task. But then as, over 15 years later, now that I'm, a gym owner and I'm a coach and I'm not in the warehouse, and I spend more of my time in the creative and communication side of the business, I lost all of that, and I couldn't even memorize those, those two-factor authentication texts when you're trying to log in and then they text you a code, and then I'd struggle to even remember that. And I was like, what is going on? And this story reminds me of how malleable our brains are. And as I've made more changes in my personal life, and even as I've mentioned before, playing Age of Empires, is I wanted to play games so I could relax more, but I wanted to play a game that I could exercise strategy. In Age of Empires, I started playing around with doing the mathematics of your resources and how much that would take I was doing basically more budgeting, and reintroducing that mental lens of wanting to be sharper at the numbers and remembering that, I can be like that. It did take about 12 months, but I've started to regain that speed with the numbers that I didn't have previously. And so the whole story of that is just more about reminding myself that if I do remind myself that the brain's malleable, I can re-achieve certain character traits or attributes where it literally is thinking like that was a part of the past makes it never achievable. But reminding myself that it is actually available, it's just a matter of reconditioning the brain, and the brain literally remolds itself. And that's what's exciting about this episode, is that whatever you're struggling with, you will be able to hopefully overcome it. You might be a psychopath or something, and who knows, but going into the first point, what I've just described is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you repeatedly do. Every time you practice a skill, you manage stress, or you build a habit, you strengthen new neural pathways. The more consistent you are, the faster your brain adapts, and the more automatic those actions become. It's how habits turn into skills, and skills turn into who you are. So that's neuroplasticity in a summary. We want to just touch on brainwaves, and this will lead us towards understanding binaural beats and these auditory things that we're talking about. But Navar, give me a bit of just a very fast brief on what are all of our key brainwaves.
Beautiful.
We have, how many got?
I'm going to do 5.
1, 2, 3,
5.
Yeah. Good man.
I remember from the opposite way, so can I do it from bottom up?
Yeah.
So the way I remember it is delta state is more so your sleep state. That's like the delta is the deepest, sleepest, like lower state into yourself. And so I go from delta, that's the way I remember it. The spectrum is different, right? So there's levels to it, but delta is the sleep state, the deep recovery. Theta is more so the meditative hypnosis state. Then it goes from theta into alpha, which is like the flow state, which is the bridge between the theta, your meditative state, and your beta, which is more so your alive working state. And then your greatest one is your gamma, which is more so your insights, your memory recall. It's also how a lot of like monks or deep meditators will fall into this. Like Joe Dispenza's big into the gamma waves, where you dive into this higher self. So if you go delta lower, you move up, and then gamma is like your highest, most high frequency state. And that's how I remember the states in short.
Very cool. That's a really cool way to do it. So again, we've just discussed what we mean by brainwaves. So the visual for brainwaves is the squiggly line on a graph. And when you are in what we call a slow wave state, that's what Nav just mentioned is deep, which is what we refer to as bottom of the scale. So if you imagine it's drawn on a table, obviously, often, and the bottom is really looks like rolling hills, just a really soft squiggly line is what the brainwave looks like, similar to what's the heartbeat sensor thing? You know how it's like a I'm trying to explain that
something
visual.
Meter, isn't it? It's probably some sort of
the heartbeat machine. It's like boop, boop.
Yeah.
That thing. That's that same kind of graph. How we kind of visualize these brainwaves. So a really slow rolling wave is like what your delta is, and your brain means it's really operating at a slow frequency, which means you are in your deep sleep stage. And as you progress up through alpha, beta, delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma, those waves get faster, and so you go from your deep recovery through your creative flow states into relaxed focused into more active thinking, and eventually your peak cognition, which is your gamma waves. And when you view it on the thing, it looks like a compressed accordion. It's really a really tight up down zigzag, and so those waves, those undulations get closer and closer together, and more narrow and more sharper as your thinking speed increases. I just want to add, this is just a funny thing because it's making fun of me. You've memorized it from bottom up. So Nav's memorized from delta up to theta all the way up to gamma. And then I would have thought I'd memorized from top down, but I didn't. I don't know why.
You probably started middle.
I did. I started in the fucking middle because
it's like through time and in time again.
Yeah, literally, it is that. And that's why I wanted to share it because it's so fascinating to me. But I literally did start in the middle because it seems like one's more into sleep. Does that make sense?
I actually thought that way initially when I first started looking at it. I'm like, okay, well, we're mostly in like... I was thinking about the state I want to be in the most, which is alpha, which is also interesting because personality, right? Alpha is more the slow, calm, cool, collective sort of state. The beta is more like you're reactive, you're in state, like you're in somewhat a reactive state. So I used to think the same way as you did, but then my systemic brain started to go from like down up.
That's quite funny.
Yeah, because I also looked at it as like, okay, if I'm meditating or hypnosis is actually how I learned it, was through guided hypnosis. Is most people come in beta, stress, so you're going to move them into alpha, the bridge between beta and theta. Then you move them into theta, where they're more in a meditative hypnosis state. Then they could fall into a delta gamma, where they then move deep into a sleep state or into like a transcendent meditative, like transcendent, intuitive, unknown state, which is what Joe Dispenza works with. But that's how I started to systemically move through it.
Fascinating, fascinating. Yeah, I do think that mine's. Do you know what's also funny? Do you remember the acronym AGB? It's for taking a shit after a night on the beers.
Oh, the grog, yeah.
After grog bog.
After grog bog, yeah.
So when I don't drink beers anymore, I used to drink beers all the time, just with my mates. We used to buy jugs from the pub, and then you have a thing called AGB, which is your after grog bog, and it's just this big poo that you have the Sunday morning, basically. But that's still hardwired into my brain. So when I looked at this, the top three is alpha, which is your relaxed focused. Beta is active thinking, and so gamma is your peak. So it's actually ABG is the acronym here, but I know for some reason that gamma is your peak, and I know that delta is your lowest. All I remember is the three higher is A, G, and B, and I know it's rearranged, and that's my brain's way of memorizing the order. And then I know there's only two left, and I know delta's the lowest, and I know theta's the next one from there. It's so anyway. It's probably not the most efficient way of memorizing that, guys. So it's a bit of an eye-opening. I'm like, fuck, I'm pretty inefficient in stuff. I need to neuroplasticize my diversity out of this. All right. Fuck, I'm just fucking sorry.
That's because you would say you dopamine wired. Were you dopamine wired when you did it?
I'm hardcore dopamine.
Well, I'm acetylcholine, I think. I think when we were doing it, I was more acetyl. So different.
Yeah.
There you go. That's talking about states and neuroplasticity and what have you. There's so much going on, guys.
Yeah, this might be confusing to the listeners. I really wanted to put the Braverman test into this episode, but I didn't. The Braverman test, you can Google it if you want. It's a questionnaire and it gives you your neurotransmitter profile. Incredibly eye-opening. If you do want to go to the link, just Google it. Don't pay for it. Just keep searching until you find a downloadable PDF and you'll get it. It's like 250 yes or no questions, but it's so valuable. Very eye-opening. So real world applications. Now we've just talked about these brainwaves. In summary, from bottom to top: delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Right. So what we have at SMA, and this is deliberate for our approach and our style and our philosophy, not all gym environments are designed like this. We deliberately have a calm and open training environment, and it discourages stress, which is sometimes not the most advisable thing, because sometimes you want to be stressed and you want to have a really intense workout. But for most of our clientele in our space, we're trying to get them out of being stressed all the time and move their bodies to nourish themselves. So our general environment and our music and just our general general vibe of our personalities and our coaches is quite a lot more calm and open. Whereas, as you can imagine, many gyms have more of an intense, ferocious kind of energy, which also works. Our training philosophy, we have a heavy focus around the spine, the breathing, and general function. That way, we're thinking less about what our general desires are, where desires often come from ego or insecurity, which is arguably the same thing. But when you have a heavy focus around your anatomy, the function of your breathing, the function of your spine, that brings more awareness and more ability to navigate your heart rate, your internal level of anxiety, your internal level of stress. And so if you train with that in mind, your general base anxiety will be reduced, which gives you more malleability over the brain. I don't know if that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this in another podcast where I was talking to a client about how they have to, in a way, intentionally shift their state to get a certain result from their training. Because if they don't, if they go into their training with a certain state, a certain feeling, a certain emotion, it's going to then invoke a certain response from the training. Which is basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone we do this for, but for many, mindset and meditation coaching, again, not everyone does it, not everyone wants it, and we're not super advanced therapists. We are personal trainers and functional health coaches, where we know we kind of draw a line with where our skills take us, but that doesn't steer us from not recommending these things to people, because again, you are your own worst enemy, and what we do with our clients is just find the most efficient way for people to overcome the version of themselves that is holding them back, and then, as always, creating routine and stability in people's lives to create more of a sense of calm. So you're really, really addressing the chaos. We've got to address the chaos both internally, externally. So again, we've got the space to quote unquote mold our mind. Yeah.
Structure builds freedom. Structure creates freedom. Whatever it's called. Structure equals freedom.
Yeah. Very good. Actionable items. Let's do a quick little recap on making sure the audience understands their brain's operating state. So just give us a quick recap, Nav, of those brainwaves.
So your gamma and beta at the very top.
Yep.
Right. So they're perfect for coaching, problem solving, training with intent, like being productive. Like being active is the top end of the beta and gamma. Gamma also like intuition, thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Alpha and theta being more in the flow, creative state, meditative, being in a bit of a hypnosis sort of state, building flow. And then the delta is your deep sleep, more so just recovery and memory consolidation when you're sleeping.
Very good. And I've written a note here. Oh, excuse me. That was a little Powerade burp, actually. This is actually big for me because I'm actually always trying to chase that creative flow. But if you're trying to be in a creative flow, but you're stuck in like kind of a high beta from rushing around all day trying to fit a lot of things in, you will experience that block, that cognitive block, and something I still struggle with to this day, which is probably why I was able to write that note there as well.
I will add on to that, although we're not going to like dive too deep. But one thing I've always want to say to this in this podcast I've been thinking about is like Einstein, or I think it was Nikola Tesla, where they would hold on to something like a big heavy metal ball.
Oh, I think that was Edison.
Or Edison even. It probably was Edison. And I think multiple people did it. But Edison was probably the one with the metal ball. But he would fall asleep holding onto something that would then fall when he falls asleep. So he'll wake up, and like Josh was saying, it will take him out of the beta state into like a theta, even into like a gamma state where you're like in a high REM cycle and you're having these downloads come. He'll wake up and then he'll just write ideas then and there. It's like going to sleep on a problem.
Literally. He would deliberately... he would sit with pots and pans around him, and he would sit at the desk with a blank notepad in front of him, and then he would do that activity, which I've actually never done it.
I haven't gone to that level, but I've implored certain practices that might bring certain
that's a good point.
Solutions.
You could even try it. Ooh, maybe I'll try it.
I've got to be here in his office, all these pots.
Ding. You'd be like, fuck, he's brainstorming again. When we discuss stress and understanding your body states, you are on this sliding scale, right, where you're moving up / moving down when you're in a heightened state or more calmer state. And so it's really important to be able to recognize that. And so what is optimal is when we are effectively focused but but calm. There's a level of intensity to us, but we look like we can handle it, and we're not looking like we've got steam coming out of our ears. So what's optimal is having a calm focus, having what we consider good energy, naturally good energy, clear thinking, engaged but not wired. You've got the focus without that severe intensity. Whereas something that is suboptimal is when you're scattered, easily distracted, overwhelmed, or you might be flatlined with low energy. You might be carrying that intensity because you're trying to hold on when your body's trying to let go. And it's important to listen to your body, look for rapid breathing, pay attention to slump posture, jaw tension. These are all signs that you're stuck in a high beta or a stress response. And so again, however you choose to find ways to audit yourself or manage yourself, make sure you put something in place. What about physical posture and mental state, Nav?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is when we did that workshop years ago on posture and how it impacts hormones and what have you. And it was, I can't remember the lady's name anymore. You might remember, but there was a study at a university in America, and it was like, they did it with quite a few people even, where they studied the posture and how it impacted cortisol, your stress hormone, testosterone, and your confidence in taking risks. And they did like gambling tests. So certain posture, they then checked their hormones, their heart rate, etc., from that posture, and then they gave those individuals with poor posture versus good posture a coin to flip, and then if they got the coin flip correct, they won money. People that had better posture had more testosterone, less cortisol, they're more charismatic, and took more risks. So recognizing posture and mental state, they're interrelated. How our posture impacts our hormones and signals chemically within the body, which then is also going to impact certain brain waves and responses through neurotransmitters. And one of the same as well, like our certain, if we're anxious within our mind, then we're going to have a certain posture, which is then going to impact the brain waves. Again, chicken or the egg, they're both interrelated with one another. Mm-hmm. But more upright, open posture is going to feed more confidence, more testosterone. You're going to have more like anabolic steroids like within your body. So you're going to be in more healing process as well, more focused, more sharp. And you will be able to move quicker and be more agile. And that's going to impact breathing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chemicals, not steroids, not anabolic steroids.
What is a steroid, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Well, yeah.
I'm thinking of exogenous steroids.
Oh yeah. Now the body produces its own steroids.
Right. Yeah. It does that. It does. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking more from that standpoint.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I just heard steroids and I was like, might have to clarify that.
No, I meant like the body's own like androgen steroid.
Yes. Gotcha. Next one is natural brain optimizing strategy. So what we mean by that is that your brain is on that sliding scale of going from delta, and it can go down to delta. It can go all. I'm going to say that you wouldn't really go down into delta unless you were in a sleep, but you would go from your theta to your gamma, and you'd be fluctuating along that scale depending on what you're doing, what your environment as well. And so it's important to have a practice or learn a strategy in order to navigate that. And generally, breath work is really your best thing that you can do there, which is why we're so big on making our training around prioritizing the spine and the rib cage, because it gives you that coordination, it enables that coordination and enables that coordination around the ribs and the spine, so that when you do breath work, your breath work is better, and then when you do your breath work, your training is better as well. That way you can have a lowered state of anxiety and more of an ability to control that. And really, if you're trying to get yourself into more of a focused state, you would do somewhat of what resembles a bit of hyperventilation, really low level hyperventilation, obviously, but you're doing a more sharper, faster type breathing drills to get yourself into a state. You might even need to induce some sighing or some yawning or something as well, but you're trying to get yourself in the zone, so you can use a breathing drill to do that. But also commonly what we find ourselves teaching more is your slow type breathing drills, where you are trying to down regulate the individual out of a high cortisol or a high adrenaline state so that they can be more calmer, they're out of a state of chaos, and their brain and their body is in more of a malleable state.
Yep.
So having some sort of breath work or multiple breath work strategies in order for you to effectively control your brain is a really, really good thing. Movement patterns, Nav.
Yeah, so like Josh was mentioning, with breathing the diaphragm is a muscle, right? And so our posture, the way that our pelvis or our ribs are tilted, is going to impact our diaphragm's ability to contract or to relax. Diaphragm releases more blood than anything else within the body, and it was also our breathing muscle, so it impacts our ability to even breathe into our lungs. So our movement patterns, cross-body rotational, contralateral, so like crawling a loaded carry, so contralateral as in having weight to one side but then moving to the opposing, or opposing patterns, right, is going to expand and open the body, which will allow more breath, which is going to improve cognition, because our breathing and the blood within our body improves our state, the amount of blood flow to the brain, which is better for our brain and cognition as well. So yes, our movement does impact our brain. It does 100% impacts our brain. Even just the movements that we do might then release more signals, movement pattern, motor units within the body, which then triggers the nervous system in the brain even more so, which is going to wake up the brain and neural pathways more. So our movement patterns really matter. And then you also have here low intensity cardio. So the blood flow, the oxygen flow, just from actually exercising. So Josh mentioned breath work, but if you actually exercise, the certain pacing that you have in exercise and cardio also invokes a specific breath work. So sometimes actually just being really good at cardio in a way is going to also improve cognition, because it's going to improve breath work as a byproduct. Which is very cool. Absolutely.
And we've talked a lot about having structure and having routine as setting your foundation and making sure that your primary needs are being met. All the big blocks are in place with your nutrition, your sleep, having a schedule, then putting in certain habits as well. But outside of that structure, you want to have space for change and for the introduction of new things. And it's always good to make sure that you are challenging yourself in some way, learning a new skill, whether that's through your career, learning a new skill, or in the fitness space, learning a new physical skill, whether that's improving new movements, learning new exercises, or trying new sports. Or even one thing that I personally experimented was I taught myself how to juggle. On my bucket list is learn how to Rubik's Cube, solve Rubik's Cube. I'm not there yet, unfortunately.
That's cool.
But my original theory was to when I was looking at learning more about the brain, about how you have left hemisphere and right hemisphere, I basically had this theory that if I could teach myself to juggle, that is a high coordination activity, but it's exchanging from the left to the right side. So that would help me. My theory was that would help me synchronize and activate my left and right hemisphere in my brain. So when I was feeling fatigued, I would go out and start juggling. And it did nothing, actually. I had no reason, but now I can juggle.
Now he's a part of the circus.
I'm a sick juggler. I like juggling things all the time. But what I will say, and this is only anecdotal, this is personal experience, there is a level of invigoration that comes from stopping what I'm doing and juggling. I don't really think it is the juggling, but it's the fact of doing an act that makes my eyes like dart left and right, my hand. I'm doing a hand-eye coordination activity. And I really want to make sure I can juggle for as long as possible, because I can see how healthy that will be on my nervous system as the concept of having a challenging skill that I'm playing around with regularly as well. So that's that. Meditation and mindfulness, Nav.
Which physically change the brain. I know I brought up Joe Dispenza a few times. He's actually the clip that I'll share later as well. But he uses meditation, mindfulness, brain waves to impact the brain, to change the brain, to change the signals, the pathways. So a lot of things that we're experiencing as pathways, right? Like we share the same genetics. All of us share the same genetics. It's just whether they're turned on or off. And meditation, mindfulness, brain waves can also impact whether a gene is turned on or off, which then could create a certain result. So meditation mindfulness can physically change the brain. It could increase grey matter in the prefrontal cortex. So Josh mentioned in the intro that the prefrontal cortex is what makes us human beings even more unique, simply because we can process like only a small percentage more. Like I don't think it's much at all. Like we're only using a small percentage of our brain, but prefrontal cortex is focused decision making, and regular practices increases grey matter within that area and shrinks the amygdala, which is the fear stress response. And so through actual meditation and mindfulness, we could become more focused, we can have better decision making in the moment with less fear and less of the past, creating anxiety and nervousness, which creates procrastination, all that crap.
Yeah. Very good. Brain nutrients we have is, if you listen to our previous episode around inflammation and gut health, this is pretty much the same advice, which is really good to hear because it means you're effectively two birds, one stone kind of thing. But again, it's reducing systemic inflammation really helps take stress off the body, is what was discussed in the previous episode. And that's what we're talking about here. So if you introduce or increase your intake of omega-3s, common one is fish oil or having fish products like tuna and salmon are really good ones as well. They are essential for the brain cell structure and reducing inflammation. B vitamins and magnesiums and magnesium and electrolytes for that matter as well. They really support your neurotransmitter production and energy, which is related to the nervous system. And then antioxidants, so they help protect against oxidative stress. So things like your berries, your leafy greens are very common being high in antioxidants, which again reduces general stress on the body, allowing you to have more time, energy, resources for the brain to do what you want the brain to do. Blood sugar, Nav?
Yeah, so roller coaster blood sugar levels lead to mood swings, brain fog, fatigue. So even the same thing as caffeine or certain things that might increase cortisol, though caffeine doesn't directly increase cortisol, but it does indirectly increase cortisol. Same thing as blood sugar. If you have too much of it, it's going to, too much sugar, and you're going to spike blood sugar through food. Also can, through stress, increase blood sugar levels, right? That's going to impact energy, and it's going to impact mood, brain fog, and brain just capacity overall. So you make sure you have balanced meals. That's a really easy, intentional way to regulate blood sugar levels, and actually utilize those eating windows as a time to relax and reduce your blood sugar levels as well. 2 for 1. Two birds, one stone.
And, literally eating a bag of lollies or a bunch of lollies is just the simplest way. Or drinking soft drink is a simple, common example of elevating or spiking your blood sugar. And that's why we talk about having more.
And with no balance, right? It's just like pure sugar. It's like just send the blood sugar levels, but there's no protein, there's no fats, there's no micronutrients, there's nothing to balance it.
It's basically just a syringe of sugar that you just straight down the throat. And that's a super common behavior as well. Talking about, again, this is technically out of the same context of our previous episode, is just the relationship with the gut and the brain. It's very important that you prioritize your gut health as one of your primary brain strategies, because of the relationship with how your neurotransmitters, many of them are made in the gut, and there's heavy communication between the gut and the brain. At all moments of the day. So you really need to make sure that the gut health is good, so your general well-being is there. You need that foundation set. Poor gut health leads to systemic inflammation and mental sluggishness, as we also talked about last episode.
Which is a long time ago.
Ages ago. It was a really long time. It definitely wasn't 20 minutes ago.
And then on blood sugar, food, gut, etc., timing does matter. It can help, especially if you're training a lot. Eating carbs around training can help support that. Even when you're working, like the amount of carbs, the amount of foods that you have around certain work windows can impact whether you're on or whether you're sluggish. You might be too tired trying to digest food. You're not going to want to eat too close to training. So be mindful and intentional with all of that. Be aware of your lifestyle, your cycles, and be intentional with your timing of food, especially carbs as well.
Yes. And I will add in, especially for those of you who are listening who tend to be in more of an office environment where you do experience, your 3:30itis, or people have certain crashes that tend to be around a similar window of their work schedule. And whether you choose to create a log or a journal or even use something like MyFitnessPal or whatever it is, the method doesn't matter. The result needs to be that you are becoming aware of when these trends are happening, so that it helps you make more informed decisions about how you can organize your lunch breaks or your smoko or your morning tea and what you are eating in those things. And especially try and catch yourself when you have your Mars bar moment or your
your Tim Tam moment.
Yeah, I don't, but most people have it. Almost at everyone.
Our clients.
Yeah, most people they have these moments where they have their sugary snack at some point in time, and the way that you counter that is by being able to know when that craving is going to happen and making sure you're having a healthy carbohydrate like 90 to 120 minutes before that moment comes up. And so the more you know about yourself and the more you know about your trends, that'll really help you specifically optimize your schedule for your brain and your general gut health and your nutrition. What else have we got here?
We got some drugs. Supplements.
Drugs.
So
supplementation comes in really, really well. It also a challenging one because of people are so keen on caffeine, general stimulants. They're kind of used to it. And so when we talk about certain supplements, for many people, they don't value the supplement because they get such of a kick out of taking caffeine, and people take nicotine's really big again.
Alcohol's common.
Yeah, alcohol's common. Again, more of an aphrodisiac for your work, right? Just to make it more bearable. What are the chewy things?
Like nicotine gum. You're like
not the gums, but the
pouches.
The pouches, snuff. The
snuffs.
Yeah. Those are. I think they were mostly used in.
They're huge in America.
Yeah, in America and baseball, the baseball scene they came out. There's a couple of versions where you put the actual tobacco under your gum, but they now come in these little pouches.
Yeah.
I think there's a brand Zins or Zims or something. But anyway, popular brand. But what they do have is they have an amphetamine effect, so you can get some real deep, hardcore focus sessions. But they do fry your brain as well. Look, I get it. I've not specifically those ones, but I had a big. Experimental journey with nicotine, and I just ended up addicted to the nicotine and feeling pretty numb, but it did work. Like I was just glued to the screen and doing work.
Creates a sense of it creates productivity.
It does, but the energy debt kind of deleted.
It takes away from the future.
It does. Sure, I really lost all of my tomorrow by doing But anyway, so outside of those, because they're big in the quote unquote brain space, and the people love that. When we ignore those. Magnesium, omega-3s, B vitamins, there is a strong backing on the research side of things as well, very commonly talked about, as well as adaptogens, which when we first started the gym wasn't that big of a conversation, but almost a decade later they're very common, which is fantastic news. Adaptogens, commonly ashwagandha, rhodiola, there's another one, shoshanja berries, even rosemary gets a bit of a positive light.
Even theanine.
Theanine's really big as well. Big fan of theanine. These all support stress. They don't, again, overcome anything. They don't put you to sleep like what alcohol does for many people. But if you are weaning off those things, this is what the stuff you want to be putting in your system so that you can feel energized.
Even like mushrooms. Creatine's a big one for creatine's a big nootropic for brain function, for energy, the mitochondria.
Play around with creatine as well. I was listening to the latest news about creatine and how they were having upwards of a 25 gram bolus, which is just it's a mound. You're actually having a mound of creatine. And I increased my creatine intake and just instantly had like 3 watery poos. Straight. And I'm like, what is going on here? And
you don't need to load that much,
I didn't feel that sick from it, but I definitely didn't feel amazing. So just be aware. is what I'm trying to say. Play around with that before you just start hoofing it down. But creatine's good.
Yeah.
And supplements, really, really, really good, but they must be done in conjunction with habits and good decisions and having good actions. The supplements will never overcome.
I even think about like Western medicine where you're taking a painkiller or something, right? But if you have poor gut health, you're malnourished and what have you, your gut itself is what processes a lot of that. So you still want to have a foundation of good sleep, good rest and digest, so you could digest good food. You have movement, so then your body can actually relax and breathe and digest while you eat. And then when you take supplements on top of that, the supplement's going to be peaking. But if you're taking supplements at a point where you're not even having that foundation, your body isn't even in a position to fully digest and absorb and process the supplements. Not saying don't do it, but that's a conversation I have with people. If you're spending all this time and money on supplements, but you don't even have a collective system of habits and behaviors and nutrition, etc., to even benefit from the supplements as much, you're kind of like leaving stuff on the table. That's the way I see it anyway. Absolutely.
Very good. All right, Navar, give us the rundown on binaural beats, one of our favorite tools.
All right. So all of you now are professionals in the brainwaves, all the way from delta up to gamma.
Yes.
In whatever order you want to figure it out.
From the middle.
Yeah. The way binaural beats work is it uses different, specifically binaural beats uses different beats and frequencies, hertz, to nudge the brain towards a specific brainwave, which then that brainwave is then going to bring a specific result, right? So the certain brainwave or beat that it's providing is then going to put you into, let's say, a sleep or delta state more so than a theta, or maybe you've got a certain frequency, which is theta over alpha, etc. And so we use brainwaves. You could even use certain music with certain beats to then invoke a certain result, a certain outcome within your physiology, your chemistry, etc. It's like the whole entire thing, right? So the way we practically apply that is, if it's Joe Dispenza, for instance, he will use certain brain waves to then get people into like the theta state and then the subconscious, and then that moves and transcends into the gamma when they let go, and they can move into a heightened state that then, and he works with a lot of people that have a lot of chronic illnesses or really challenging experiences in their life. He's obviously really high up there. In that gamma state with the binaural beats, it will help them come to a more realistic or objective perception of what they're experiencing outside of the emotions and the pain and everything they're experiencing. So that's how we would use it for meditation or for healing. For exercise, most of you probably already do it unconsciously. You listen to a certain song that invokes a certain feeling, a certain brainwave, and then you train a certain way. So you can manipulate with certain music, you can manipulate your state, you can use brainwaves specifically to then choose a frequency for the certain state that you want. You can find them either on YouTube apps like brain.fm, most meditations, guided meditations, most hypnosis, if they're done well anyway, do that intentionally. They'll do certain toning or certain background music to then create a certain result.
Spotify, also very good.
Yeah, I use Spotify.
Yeah. Very, very good. Nice. So that is binaural beats. Definitely recommend having a browse, have a look around, and it's good finding your own tracks. I personally have my own Spotify playlist where I save my preferred binaural beat tracks, and there's often albums. I know people don't buy albums anymore, but there's often lots of albums that are created with they're dedicated to one kind of result or one type of binaural beat, one like gamma wave binaural beats, or you find an artist that does all of the 5 brainwaves and tracks for all of those in the same album. So have a browse and you'll find something you'll like, hopefully. Navar has on his screen a
video.
Yeah. Or did I skip something? Was I?
Quick win strategies.
Sorry, guys, I missed something.
Yeah, smash that out. Right.
Yeah. Sorry, do we need to wrap that part up? Some quick win strategies for you guys. So this is really more of just a summary of what we've just talked about. Simple breathing protocols for focus and calm, really important to know. Having a cognitive load reset. In my case, it used to be juggling. Now it's just moving around, standing out in the sun, or having a micro nap. But you're having breaks or movement and exercises or meditation and micro naps strategically timed so that your brain has that time time to just kind of reset itself, process some information, and feel clear and light again. You want to structure your day around your natural cognitive rhythms and also your metabolic rhythms, which is when your appetite is up or down, your energy levels are up and down. And then just make sure, again, you keep building routine and structure, but refining it every single week as you find out more about what works for you, what doesn't work for you. The refinement is a really key process. And then you can start introducing your supplements as you continually study yourself and monitor to see where your habits are either good or bad, or functional or dysfunctional, should we say. So that was the little thing that I missed. Navar has on his screen a video of Joe Dispenza.
Okay, so I've spoken about Joe Dispenza enough now.
This guy's good.
This guy's pretty much a master in meditation, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and using brainwaves to induce that. So
He's
everything.
A neuroscientist, no?
I think so.
He's a neuro something.
Yeah,
he's a doctor neuro something.
All about the brain, all about what we're talking about today. So this is
He's
a quick
nerd.
clip. Yeah, massive nerd. Here's a quick clip.
We have brain scans of people whose gamma brain waves are 200, 300, 400 standard deviations outside of normal. I'll give you an idea. 3 standard deviations outside of normal is 2% of the population. So they're processing an enormous amount of energy in their brain. And it feels really good, really good. Gamma is super consciousness. It is super awareness. So the formula of being relaxed and awake and synchronizing your heart to your brain causes the brain to move into a state of what's called resonance. And resonance is when you have waves on top of waves, harmonics. And the brain starts functioning in a more resonant state. Sometimes even people have delta as the base, carrying theta, and theta carrying alpha, and alpha carrying beta, to high beta to gamma. And they're all waves within waves. And as those waves come together, if they're coherent, they interfere and create a bigger wave. And then those waves come together and they interfere and they create bigger waves. And that's exactly how the energy in the brain goes up. So we practice a lot, synchronizing the heart to the brain.
We have brains. All right, so there's a lot. Right, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot of that's going to go over a lot of people's heads. That was sick.
I think the main thing to recognize, which he's talking about, is there's a potential to move through these waves, through our brain, to expand upon it and to connect these waves together, that we could then ride these waves even greater. And then we can, like he's mentioned with some of these people that are very, very good at meditating and moving themselves through these states, can reach these really heightened, higher consciousness states, which is like what we're talking about Thomas Edison and what have you, or Einstein or Nikola Tesla. A lot of these people had a form of practice that then allowed them to problem solve by shifting state. And that's pretty much what Joe Dispenza does, is he helps people move into different states to then invoke a different feeling, emotion, physiology, chemistry, etc., to then look at a problem with more tools and a different outlook.
I will add in a little share. I think I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but I think I'm definitely ready now, but I actually avoided Joe Dispenza for a while because I was doing his meditation protocol and I found it like overly effective and it was too much for me. And because I just love his angle that he approaches meditation. It's very science-based, it's very open-minded, and it's very backed by data, which makes it very easy to understand his point that he's trying to get across. And so I used his meditation approach to help heal my ankle that I've talked about in previous podcasts as well, that it was really seized up. And he was basically using visualization as a tool to assist healing, so that the mind and the brain is creating images of a healed version of yourself, and that allows the body to respond to that same sense of imagery and create the healing. But I actually was so deep into a meditation that I kind of put myself in a bit of a trance. And it was the most lucid dream / lucid experience / lucid meditation that I've ever had in my entire life. And I was running in this meditation, and I was actually running so much and it was so real to me that it was my elevated heart rate that it ripped me out of the meditation and into consciousness. And it was just a lot. It was a lot. I remember coming out of that meditation and thinking I had done drugs, or I was very confused just for a couple of moments. And it's been a while. I still to this day I've never gone back to it. That was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. But because of that experience alone, I'll always be a massive fan of Dispenza and his work. I've never had. I don't even talk about it that much because it's just confusing for some people. But really, really good stuff that guy talks about, and his books are really, really profound as well.
Beautiful.
Dispenza's a man.
Yeah.
But he's a very smart man. Very smart man. So that's pretty much the end of this podcast.
Yep.
Before I just do a summary of a wrap up and anything, is there anything, Navar, that you wanted to add in?
I'm happy.
He's happy.
That was great. Yeah. Lots of information. I hope a lot of people gained something from it.
Yes, I'm glad. Your brain has different operating states for different tasks. Remember to learn to recognize and practice how to shift between them. Physical health is foundational to brain health. You cannot supplement your way out of poor lifestyle habits. Simple practices like breath work and movement are often more effective than expensive technologies. Consistency in brain health practices creates longer lasting neuroplastic changes, and a focus on the fundamentals before exploring advanced brain optimization techniques is necessary. Build your foundations and then go from there.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I am glad there seems to be no one booked into the studio after us.
Should we try and do a mystery item real quick? Or you just move
let's
on?
let's do it. Let's do it. We're being naughty.
I'll do mine real quick.
Yeah, go Nav.
Mine is real simple, actually. We talked about it. I created my own binaural beats playlist.
Hey.
So I'll actually, I won't share it because you guys won't see it in the camera, but what I will do is I'll make it open public and I'll share the link into the YouTubes.
Yes.
And then we should have it in the YouTubes and the Spotifys and all the places. And I'll also write text within the playlist. I think I could do that, which is just how I do breath work and hypnosis with clients using this playlist. And it's literally, they start off with alpha, then they move into theta, then they move into delta, and then opens up into gamma, and then waking back up into alpha. So it is intentionally structured in that regard. And I'll share that in the notes.
Go Navar.
Beautiful.
Go Navar.
That's my mystery item. And
my mystery item is very in similar lights.
Turmeric.
No, that's not my turmeric. It's my AirPods.
Hey.
This is an item that I carry literally everywhere. It's part of my phone keys wallet kind of scenario. I also carry my AirPods with me. The reason they're in here is because they've also lasted me a very long time. But this is what I use for my micro naps. I use my phone calls and everything, but I use them to do my binaural beat stuff. Nice. So I go into my car, chuck my AirPods in. They're very lightweight in the ears, and then I'll put a cover over my eyes, blindfold often, sometimes just the sleeve of my jumper, and then I'll just kick the seat back and then have a nap. But the other thing that's really important about the AirPods is I also use it for reducing input. So what I mean by that is that if there's lots of stuff that I'm hearing, if there's lots of stuff that I'm thinking about, my brain's already full, it's got lots of information that it's dealing with. When I walk around, I spend a lot of time in areas that are near the gym, or I'm always running in areas, well, not at the moment, I'm always running in areas that you cross other runners. And I actually wear my AirPods more than I listen to stuff in them. I use my AirPods as ear plugs, but they stop people from interacting with me because I meet people and friends. I bump into people on the street, and I love those people, but I don't want to fucking talk to them when I'm trying to have like my Sunday where I'm trying to get through my things. And I use it as a deterrent from human interaction, purely for the reason of saving my brain energy. And that's why I have the AirPods. Right now I'm talking about them. That's why. Not the binaural beats, which is really, really good. But they really help stop people interfering with my already busy brain, and it's really helpful.
Nice. I do the same.
Yeah. And then I pull the AirPod out and I pretend to tap it.
Yeah. I do that all the time too. I get one of these ones, a big slap.
Do you know what I've done a few times? I pretended to tap it and then started playing music, and then my other ear
I've done that too. I've been there many times.
Anyway,
that's funny.
It's just a kerfuffle. But thanks for listening. We've got some time for our mystery items. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, guys.
We will see you in the next episode.
Yes.
Adios, amigos.
Adios.
Ciao.